Hello, my name is Paul-Beckett, and today I want to talk a little bit about like the willingness to let go, and by that it can kind of come across in a couple of different ways. The willingness to let go of things that have happened, of our like really kind of like emotional holding onto things, of our resentments, of our grievances. Um, I've got a senior class. I'm a school teacher. I've got a senior class at the moment, and when they come into the room, I always put quotes on the board, and I always use this as an opportunity to get non-dualism into the conversation. But I put one quote up on the board. I think it's a Buddhist quote actually. I think maybe it's the Buddha, but it's holding on to anger is like swallowing poison and expecting the other person to die. And I speak to my kids, like I was speaking to my kids about it. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, do you understand what I mean? I was like, when a situation happens, you choosing to twist up your insides to absolutely change, to be fizzing with anger while that other person's getting on with the day, it's you that you're poisoning. And they were actually getting it when I was talking about it, but it's something that I think I had to look at a lot in my life, especially post realization, to see, well, is there kind of any areas here where I'm holding on to even a subtle grievance? Because I realized that it was kind of like a poisonous kind of root. Do you know what I mean? It was something that I needed to drag into the open, into the light to actually see. And with that looking at it, it's not aha, here I am, look how badly I'm doing things, look at this, I feel this way. But it's compassionate looking. It's okay, these are the feelings that are attached to this situation, or these are the feelings that are attached to this person, or these are the feelings that are attached to this memory. And I think with that, without doing any work, without thinking that then there's something I need to do about that, just dragging it into the light, switching the light on those emotions, I think is a really, really powerful thing. And it's a bit topical at the moment because I'm talking about it with some of my friends and people that I speak to online. And so I thought that I would share about this idea of letting go. I think it's really easy to say, I want to let go. And I think the practice of letting go actually doesn't go like to exactly to plan all the time, because I think we need to admit there's a part of us that really doesn't want to let go. And it's okay to admit that. Like we're not here to be like Mr. Spiritual Goody Two Shoes, Holy Joe, who's like, yeah, let go, take it all from me, blah, blah, blah. I have to admit when there's something there where there's an attachment. I have to be aware of that myself. I have to be honest with myself. There's an attachment here to whatever it may be. There's an unwillingness to let this go, no matter how subtle that unwillingness might be. Because I understand that it's only my garden that I'm weeding. It's nobody else's. It's only me that's affected by these roots that I don't get out of the soil properly. So letting go in that way, yes, about grievances, anger, even just, just slight annoyances, and it's going to happen with all of us. This happens throughout my day. I mean, I'm a school teacher, so try hanging out with 30 teenagers every single hour for 7 hours a day. A new group every time. And watch how many people might be able to push your buttons. So I'm constantly dealing with a lot of people. A lot of people are going through a lot of hormonal things who don't want to be in school. They've got this, that, and the other thing going on. So, there's a lot of different behaviors, a lot of different acting out. And I have to be aware of my reactions, because that's the only job that I can do. I can't control your behavior. Your behavior has nothing to do with me, but my response to your behavior is everything to do with me. So even just some subtle like agitation, some subtle annoyances, I'm really trying hard to be aware of them and just not let them take root. Because then the next time I see that person, if that root's still in the ground, I'm like, I know you, you're this person, you do this is what I expect from you. Um, no, it's not healthy for me. It's really not healthy for me. Don't care about the other person. Does that sound selfish? Don't care. What are we supposed to be spiritual? Oh, we're not selfish. No, do it selfishly. Do what is right for you. Drag these roots out because they are hating you, not the other person. Yeah, the other person's probably, you're not probably behaving in a loving way to the other person while they're in there, but do it for yourself. We can only tend our own garden. So yeah, reactions, that's one way. But the other kind of letting go, which I'm really interested in thinking about at the moment, is this idea of letting go of the idea of a self. The day I realized the character of Paul was a pantomime character I'd been playing along with. And it was mind blowing to me because he was me. I was so familiar with him. I was so familiar with his likes and his dislikes. I was so familiar with his hopes, his dreams. I was so familiar with his fears and his anxieties. But actually, just all of a sudden, standing away from that pattern of behavior, all of those opinions, all of those thoughts, all that conditioning that I called Paul, and being like, why did I let myself be in this small box? What was the benefit to me to saying the limits of Paul are here? He likes this, he doesn't like this, he can do this, he can't do this, and this is the tiny little channel that I'm saying that I'm allowed to occupy. So since then, it's a mind-blowing thing to see that, by the way, like mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. So comes the question, what am I if I'm not these opinions, this characterization that I've really, really clung to, that I've built up? That's been my lifelong project, adding a little bit more and a little bit more to the story of Paul. So if I'm not that, and I recognize myself to be this expansive other thing that I never wasn't, that isn't something that I gained. It's just something I took off a costume that I was wearing. I took off a mask and realized that what was behind that mask was never not behind that mask. But moving on from this, so like, 2 years down the line or whatever it is, I'm also aware that it's very easy for me to say, I want to let go of this, and this, all these parts of Paul that I considered unworthy, all these parts of Paul that I didn't like, all these parts of Paul that were causing me aggro. Yeah, I can say I want to let go of them so easily. But what about the parts of Paul that actually I quite enjoyed? What about the parts of Paul that didn't cause me any problems, but were still as much of a limitation as the other things that I might have called negative things? So it's now for me to look at and be like, where are the edges? Where are the edges? Because there is no edge. But where are the edges? Where have I told myself my barriers are, my borders are? Where have I said I can be here? I can't exist outside of this. And do you know what? It feels like a process. It can feel like a process. Some days you can feel very, very like rid of all of that conditioning. And some days I can be more aware of little fiddly parts, little almost sly bits that I almost didn't even realize were still there. And it tends to be the big stinkers of things, yeah. They were solved really, really easily. But there's a lot more like kind of insidious little roots in there that maybe I hadn't given my attention to. So maybe I hadn't looked at properly. So when I'm talking about the idea of letting go, I'm talking about the idea of letting go without discrimination, not cherry picking the bits and pieces of saying, I want to be free from this cage that I built myself called Paul. To hear that, I can totally imagine what that might seem horrifying. What would I be if I wasn't this? Why can't I keep the nice bits? Surely the nice bits weren't hurting anybody. Why would I even want to shed myself of this character? Because then I'll be nothing. And I can see the anxiety in it. I can see the resistance to it. But there's a trick to it. I was actually speaking to somebody that reached out from the internet this week, and she was like, I don't want to not be myself. But then it brings into question The self that we've called ourselves was never our true self, no matter how nice the character was, no matter how easy the story was. You know, if you've had a stinking experience and a really difficult character to play, then yeah, I can understand how you must be very, very keen to put it right in the bin. But what about all those little parts of what if you didn't have that? And you're either choosing the truth or you're not. And not choosing the truth might look like a lot of different choices, but the choice is one. You're either choosing the truth or you choose an illusion. So it seems quite a harsh thing to say. I can understand. I can understand that. But it's something that I know is for my own good. It's something that I know when I'm practicing this, I feel expansive. I feel free. I feel blissful. I just have this deep, deep satisfaction. This everything is okay. This everything is okay, regardless of what appears to be going on around me. Like the weather's not rocking my boat. Maybe the weather never did rock my boat. It was only ever my opinion of the weather that appeared to rock my boat or let me sail smoothly. So this idea of letting go, it comes with like an idea of open-mindedness, a willingness to be shown another way, a willingness to trust that if you're not this prison we made for ourselves, this prison of a personality, that I won't become nothing. I become everything. I become everything. I don't have all these strange walls that I've imagined, these strange borders. You know, like something else I'm always really, I'm really obsessed with actually. You know, if I was to stand in Europe, you know, it's such a big landmass and there's so many countries in it. And I'm stood here and then I step two steps that way and I'm in France. Or I'm stood in a different place and I step two steps that way and I'm in Spain. But there's nothing there. It's an invisible line. It's a made up line. This is France, this is Spain, this is Germany. Do you know what I mean? And it always blew my mind because I realized that that's kind of what a personality is. I've just like staked the claim to this much, and I've said, this is my part. This is my part, no more, but no less. But why, when all this land is here, this entire planet's here, like, why draw the line? Why build a wall? So I can understand the resistance that brings up because, like I say, I'm still rooting out things even now. Like I'm still going, oh, here's an attachment here. And how is this attachment saving me? And they're never saving me in a way that I want. Do you know what I mean? There's always an anxiety or a fear or a dissatisfaction around it, even if it's quite an insidious, like just under the radar, not a big stinking issue. So letting go for me is like it's kind of a constant practice, and it comes by a willingness to look at the things that I don't want to look at. Not putting them in a cupboard and slamming the door. You know, we've all got that junk cupboard in the house that when you open the door, all the rubbish falls out. Not throwing it in that cupboard. In my mind, closing the door, leaning on the door to give a bit of pressure and then getting it clipped closed and being like, poof, thank God I never need to look at that again. Getting the bits and pieces out and being like, I put these in here. Nobody else. Nobody else. Because that's another thing going to go, oh, but that was my bad childhood. And oh, that was that friend who let me down. And oh, that was that partner who whatever went on. But realizing that the state of my garden is my own responsibility. State of yours is yours. And the best service I can do for you is to work on mine. The best service you can do to me is to work on yours. Do you know what I mean? All keeping our own side of the road clean. So this idea of letting go, I think, it's like a bottomless well. It's like, you know, when every time I think I've peeled the layer off, I've peeled the layer off, that must be it. There appears to be something else, even if it's only the thinnest little layer. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'll be doing that for the rest of this experience. I don't know. But what I do know is that being conscious about it is that by giving it my non-judgmental awareness, not calling myself dirty names, not thinking, oh, here's me thinking I'm really making all of this progress, but look at this, this, and this. I mustn't be doing it correctly, or I must be failing somehow. Like, not at all. But being open to look at the things about the character of Paul, the conditioning of Paul, Paul's habits, Paul's preferences that I don't like, that I didn't think were worthy, that I didn't want other people to know, the things I put in my little dark cupboard and closed the door on. And the only way I'm going to be free of them is to open that cupboard door again and look at them one at a time and be like, yep, I thought that was mine. I thought I needed to keep this and I was wrong. Or let me run through this. Why does there seem like an attachment to this? But being honest with myself, not skipping over things with like la 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 spiritual platitudes or anything like that. Being honest with myself about the feelings that are there, the attachments that are there, the fears that are there. And then asking myself, is this something I want to hold on to? Is there another way for me to look at this? And there always is. There always is, but I have to be willing to call into question every value I ever held. And every value is vast. Not just let's throw away the really obvious rubbish. Let me look at everything I held and let me unpick this pattern properly. So I don't know. I don't know whether that resonates with anybody listening, because honestly, like I say, even in my experience now, it still feels like I can feel like, oh, I've done the work here somehow, I don't think there's anything holding me back here. And then I look and I go, oh, hang on a minute, but what about this thing, and this thing? And then I'm like, oh, but they're really nice things and they're really things that I want. And then I'm like, is the fear involved in it? Is it an anxiety? Is there a fear of losing this thing? Is there a fear of change? Is there a fear of judgment? Is there a fear of some kind of imagined future state? And these things seem to bring me stability against these things, because an external will never, ever bring me that. I am the stability that I was looking for out there. I am the abundance that I was looking for out there. I am the peace that I was looking for out there. It's so flipped round. I was trained that that's where I get what I need. No one ever told me you're already what you need, but you're blind to it. So have a little think about that. Don't know. Hopefully that can be helpful to someone. I love you. Bye.